Wanted to show you the heat exchanger that we're using for the hatch. So this is the size I used to use back in the day, and I've used a few manufacturers. I used to pay so much money for these back in the day when I used to sell them as a kit. Now you can buy them all over eBay. I'm going to put a link to where I got this one. This one works really well. I've used it before. So you look through here, it's got kind of like a woven corrugated core, so it does a good job trapping air. One of the ways to check these things is if you can see perfectly through, like there are tubes, you can see through the other side. These individual little pieces, rather than looking like this, they're kind of like this. So as the air goes through, it has to bend to pull through there. Pulls a lot more temperature out. It's a more of an efficient core. So this fits on almost everything. I've put these on Civics, CRXs, everything. Give you an idea over here. Tank to tank, 23 1/4. I think it's 7 high, 6 3/4 high, and the core is 2.5 inches thick. Key is you want 3/4 inch ends. That's the size of our intercooler. That's the size of all the popular pumps. A very similar one, and I think it used to cost me like 350 bucks. Now these you can buy for about 150, and everybody has them, so you don't need to buy them from me. Just go right to eBay. This is kind of a nice feature, the drain. If you do want to drain the whole system, obviously it's best to drain it from here. It's better than pulling a hose off and the water going all over the place. So it's all being laid out. What we do is we strip all the coating on there, lay it where we want it, branch it off, use zip ties to branch it. I showed you in one of the episodes how we do it. That way each branch is where you need it, verify it's right, and then just loom it with the proper loom. Use the heat shrink. We already have the correct injector plugs on there that we're using. That way it fits perfect, it's loomed. As you see, we're working our way up this end right now. The supercharger belts and alternator belt is situated. The hoses we're using are molded, and I like to do this, or we like to do it. That one's already in there. But you can join straights to molded bends like this, use the inline connectors, and then what we would do here is you can buy the heat shrink for radiator hoses all the way down to heater hose size, which this is 3/4 ID, and it's basically a sleeve that slides on here. You heat it up, it shrinks down here. It's much cleaner than a hose clamp. Like here, this is a real nice seam. You put the heat shrink over here, much nicer finished piece. So this is the reservoir for the supercharger intercooler. Intercooler is basically fluid in the system that gets pumped around this. It pumps through here. This is basically a reservoir, so it stores it. The water comes straight out of here, comes down here. We have our tight molded bend, runs right into the bottom of the pump. You always want to keep the pump supplied with fluid. Then it goes into our heat exchanger, which is basically a big giant almost radiator I showed you. As the water passes through here, it chills the water down, comes out, goes back through into our intercooler. That's how our water to air intercooler works. This is what we do with our molded bends. It's much better than trying to get a hose and do this, because it will kink when you bend it too much. You can get molded. These you can get them from your parts store. Some of the parts store have 90s like this and 180s with 18 inches of straight. Sometimes you just got to go find a heater hose that has the bend that you need, cut it, get it to suit the piece that you're putting in. It's much nicer than using the kinks and such, and bending them and making them kind of goofy. Remember in the early episodes I showed you, we had a JDM cluster in here, which is pretty desirable and people like it. It was white-faced. It's in kilometers, which I'm not really a big fan of. And the white against the yellow, carbon yellow, to me, didn't do it for me. I bought an EX gauge cluster. Well, this person contacted me. YouTube is Honda Street Garage. Mark, he contacted us and said, hey, do you think John hasn't interested in a UK gauge cluster? Which in that response was absolutely yes. And here it is right here. He was good enough to actually deliver it, and we did a trade. This is something I really wanted. He really wanted the JDM cluster. Absolutely. It's a done deal. So he dropped this off. He said it works. I told him the JDM one works. This guy actually fixes these and repairs them, and check out his channel on YouTube. 8,000 RPM tach that I wanted. It's got 140 mile an hour speedo, and of course it's got the other two gauges I need, the temp and fuel. So this is perfect. Just did this trade yesterday, and really cool to meet him. He's an enthusiast. I talked to people like that for hours. Even though I was watching the Z06 unveil and I felt like I was being a little bit rude, Mark, I apologize about that. I was really excited about the Z06 unveil, so I was watching it. Look at that. It's a Colorado. It's got a V8 in it, by the way. V8 2020 Colorado. No, that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is what's in my child seat right here. Look at that. Fresh valve cover right from Superior, painted to match the car. Look how beautiful that is. Super excited about that. Not sure if I'm going to try and cut the letters. I think I might do, because the more I look at it, the more I really want that nice silver letter. But look how nice that is. It's going to look great in there. I don't want to bring it in the shop and get it dusty. That's why it's sitting in my child seat right here. The good old B-Series shift linkage, I did a special on this when we built the red Integra. Kind of showed you how to tighten this up and how to replace bushings. This is all in good shape. I mean, it needs sanding down and painting. It's got a urethane bushing in here. This all looks like it's all destroyed. This is broke. So I'm going to take this apart, clean this up. I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll see what kind of parts I can get to make this a little bit better. Some of the parts in here are discontinued, but let's take it apart and see what it looks like. So the rubber was all falling apart. This was it right here. It was dry, so this cage is probably one. I just found another cage and another rubber that I'm going to put together right here. Important part is this shifter right here. I like this shifter. It's the GSR shifter. It's a dual dogleg shifter. I like it because it places this closer to you. That way you're not reaching for the shifter. It's more better positioned. So this comes apart. This is what it looks like. These are the parts that come out of there. It comes out like this. These are basically dust caps. These are the bushings that slide in here. You see that? And then this pin right here has the 4 O-rings. This usually gets destroyed. This is all in good shape, so I'm going to clean this up. This will all be nice and tight. Hopefully this cage and rubber boot will be nice. Look at the Integra, search through that video. I kind of go more into detail how to tighten up your whole shift mechanism. I'm just kind of giving you a glossary on this one. I did find a used bushing for the back that's in good shape. So it's cleaned up, painted, assembled, coated with some good old Honda Aurora grease. The smoother bushings has been put in there. It's ready to go back in. And let's see actually what difference it makes. Should make quite a bit difference and feel a little bit tighter and more positive. So this is what it looks like. The bent shifter, the reason I like that is this is obviously second and fourth gear coming back. That's neutral. That is forward, so you're not reaching out there, but nice and positive. Look at that. A box O heat shrink. So if you've never seen this stuff before, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's heat shrink for your hoses, and it works really well. We've used this for radiator hoses. The Colorado has it. A few S2000s that were made just a little bit different without putting a hose clamp on there. You get the size that fits the hose. It shrinks down. So that's the size you would order for a 3/4 hose, which is the size that we're using for this car. And it comes in like 1/8 increments, I think. So we have plenty here to build the hoses on the car. This is what it looks like right here. Basically piece them together. We'll show you as we do it. Push the piece over, heat it. It actually compresses around the hose, bites down on it pretty tight. It does a good job. Not sure if we can get this lettering off. Be kind of nice. Maybe if we hit it with some brake cleaner or something. Be kind of nice to lose that. But either way, it's better than hose clamps, and it looks much cleaner in the engine bay. Ink doesn't come off very easily. You can't get it off with acetone or brake cleaner. So what I used is some real fine Scotch-Brite, and that way it kind of matches our hose. It dulls it down, because these things, I see they're kind of shiny. So makes them blend in a little bit more. You can see where I've missed it. I'm going to go over it a little bit more, blend it, but it kind of looks a little bit more factory. See where the ink is right there. Looks kind of cool. So the interior is still a mess, but we've got our new ECU in there, the S300. Already put in a map from a previously tuned car that I did, so I know it's pretty close. Everything is somewhat complete. We don't have an intake. We just put on a factory header. It's open header, so if it starts, it's going to sound a little bit loud. We know that. There isn't any water in our intercooler because we don't have the pump hooked up yet. We're just making sure the engine runs after we took it apart and put it back together and redid a whole bunch of wiring. And hopefully check our ignition switch. You want to test for fuel pressure again? We'll just did a quick cycle. Yeah, it's got up to 55. It's got a factory fuel pressure regulator. Doesn't matter because we're going to be tuning it based with whatever fuel it needs. Just put water in there. You like our black radiator, by the way? Alright, fingers crossed. See how close we are. It's pretty close. Hard to tell. It looks like the timer belt's loose. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. I tensioned it. It's got a new belt, everything on it. It runs a little funky. I really should hook up the laptop, see what it's doing. But still getting air. Give you a nice hickey.
Oh yeah.
It's getting air from somewhere. So
it sounds like it's up here.
Yeah.
Unless it's just my hand.
No, your hand sealed it. Yeah. Okay. It's still pulling air. It's still, when you shut the door, I know somebody's going to comment why you do that. If you put your hand over the throttle body, you should shut the motor completely off. If it doesn't, it's pulling air in from somewhere. It does give you a nice hickey. It won't hurt you, don't panic. There's nothing moving in here. Don't do this on a turbo, but there's nothing moving, it's not going to hurt you. You know, nowhere for your hand to go. There's somewhere else that's getting air. That's weird. So we've got to fix the idle, but suck the water down. The fan has already cycled a couple of times. Water is circulating. Yeah, it sucked it down pretty quick. But let's pull this and see if the throttle plate has not been adjusted. I don't know if I adjusted this one. Alright, we've got the idle in the check. Trim's not working because we have an O2 code. It says heater circuit right there. We're just going to fix that. Just put a new O2 in it. Hopefully it's not bad. We don't have a problem holding temperature. Motor sounds better. We just need to get a wideband on it so we can fully tune it. We're just kind of tuning it by ear right now and trims. And then of course we're going to check that belt. Looks pretty good now. It might have been because it was idling funny. We have to vacuum down the AC, charge it. Somehow we lost the bracket for that. We need an intake, we need a header, we need an exhaust. Interior, we start dynoing this thing. Braking the clutch, of course. Did we even check the clutch?
Yeah, I did a little bit.
You gonna do it real quick? Again, brand new clutch. We didn't even check that, or I don't remember. It's nice and comfy in there, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The question is, does our UK gauge cluster work that we got off our new friend?
The fuel and temperature are not working, but we can't blame that on him yet. I don't think that temperature worked last time I was in the car.
No, it was wonky. Remember, I messed around with the wire and it came on, then it went off. Looks comfy enough, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
You feel like you're driving an EG now? All I need is a Tanabe race medallion. Is anything happening? Oh, there we go. I've been nervous there for a second.
I was holding the brake to see where to gauge.
Okay. I was watching you operate the clutch. And the wheel didn't spin. Don't put it in sixth. Awesome. Let me wiggle the temp wire real quick. You know where the temp wire is. It's right where you burn your hands. It's right next to that. Can I get my hand in there? No, I'm not going to mess around with it. I can't get to it. Good to go. Hatch runs.
Yeah.
A couple little quirks we've still got to figure out. Not a whole lot. I mean, you see what it's like. And we're not celebrating because the engine ran. It ran before. But when you see an engine run after you've taken it apart and stripped the thing all over the place and put it back together, it's still kind of a celebration.
And
you know
also,
what I mean?
if you looked at the earlier videos, it starts with just this thing now, which is like a huge improvement.
Do it real quick. I didn't see it. I don't believe it.
No?
I don't believe it. Do you think we tricked it? Camera trickery. Look at that. So we had to take that switch apart. Remember, it was corroded. We kind of showed that in episode who knows what. Now we know this works. Now we can put the GDI box on there and know the push to start works. You don't want to have a potential issue and then put something else on there and then you don't know what the issue is. So we're on the right track. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Hopefully you're enjoying your cars. I am too, especially today.